This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shuddered thinking how the world can be so cruel, and my voice to the end. It's time we try. It's time we stand. It's time we stand. It starts with the voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel, and I'm the founder of Special Chronicles and a service ambassador at United Airlines. This is episode 450, and this is season 2, part 3 of our Unified at Work series, featuring extraordinary conversations about taking inclusion to new heights. Unified at Work series is produced in collaboration with United Airlines and delivered to podcast apps everywhere by Special Chronicles. SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe and listen. And now excited to welcome back to this podcast two guests. We have, I'm going to go in the order that I have them in the show notes. So welcome back, Jonna. And welcome back, Angela. And so, yeah, welcome back. And like we were saying before we went on air, seeing again, the podcast listeners, check out the video on YouTube and Facebook, and you can see all of our faces. But what we're just saying, our lower thirds, our titles, says OLDCS for Angela and me, but then we're just saying for you, Jonna, it's a little weird to see LAX next to your name.
It's strange for me too. It's been Chicago CS for a long time.
So, for any new listeners, and I'll have to do a search and find out which episodes you guys are both on. Angela, I think you took over host maybe 3 of the Unified at Work episodes last year, a year ago, and then Jonna, you and Steve were on. So I'll have to do a search because we can't remember what episode you guys were on. 400 and something episodes, 13 years of podcasting. It's hard to keep track, but so people can go back and listen. But let's get it kick started and begin with you, Jonna. What inspired you to keep going with the Special Olympic Service Ambassador program, and what is your passion?
So I think what inspired me to start and keep moving forward the Special Olympic program is just the being able to give opportunities to all of the Special Olympic athletes that are interested in the airline, and to break those glass ceilings and give them an opportunity to do something different and be part of that large corporate team. And, you know, you and your teammates, both Lauren and Z, oh my gosh, Kyle, I know, it's too early in the morning, I haven't had my coffee yet, have really showed what great attributes you bring to our organization. And I'm really excited that we're expanding in other cities. So Houston and Denver are in the process of expanding right now. So I'm doing lots of calls, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have more Special Olympics ambassadors that are employed with United. And as I'm new to Los Angeles, I want to be next on the list and have some coworkers out there soon too.
And I want to touch on something that you said, Jonna, and that was you want to give opportunities for us in aviation, and that was, I know, before I got the phone call from Cameron Milligan about this job, and before I came in for the interview, and 2 years ago, it was never something, and even growing up in all the job skills classes and stuff that I had growing up in school, it was never something that I thought was possible for me. So it's, yeah.
And you're knocking it out of the park, Daniel. You're doing such amazing work every day, and I mean, the sky's the limit, right?
Like that email from the customer that had that I think you saw that. I think it was about a month or so ago.
Yeah,
didn't expect
recognizing what great work you were doing.
Yeah. So let's move on, and it kind of will jump ahead, but we'll come back to it about Denver and Houston. And I know it's not publicly announced yet, but I guess now people hold exclusively for the first time on this podcast news before any other media outlet has hold the news. So I guess we've got the exclusive scoop.
Exactly.
So let's move on and talk to us now about what's the connection with your non-work life caused you to bring this into work and into the United family. What's the connection with your non-work life that really helped to motivate and empower you to bring this all Special Olympics Service Ambassador program into United?
Yeah, so for me, when Oscar signed with the Special Olympics as our organization that we were teaming with back in, I'm trying to think how many years ago that was.
2017?
2017, yeah, I think so. I was really inspired by some of the events that we did together jointly between Special Olympics and United. And I thought we could do more. There's so many amazing individuals that can bring such great things to our organization. And I think, being a partner and doing, charitable events and doing different activities together was great. But finding ways that we can intertwine our lives more became my passion. And so we started with the job shadowing days and really giving people the opportunity to see behind the scenes and do the announcements and interact with the customers and the employees. And that was so much fun and such a huge success that we really thought, yay, we can take it to another level. I think, you guys have proven that you are such valued employees at United, and you bring such a great skill set to our lobbies and to our customers, and you're helping make their travel journey much more pleasurable. So
yeah, thank you.
That work starting with United and when Oscar started that partnership is really what drove me to where we're at today.
Awesome, thank you. And I want to touch on such kind of two quick things before we move on, and then we'll bring Angela into the conversation. But you mentioned some of the events that you did prior to the job shadow and hiring the four of us original UA4. So from some of those events, like we all know the plane pole is a popular one from Chicago to Houston, and the polo plunge. If you were to and there might have been other ones, but those were the two kind of top ones I thought of, and so. Of the plane pole and the polo plunge, which has been your favorite too? Did you have more fun pulling a plane or jumping into the icy waters of Lake Michigan? I know I did that 24 times. Yeah. So, did you have a favorite?
I like them both, but I think the plane pole is probably my favorite because, we're in the aviation industry, and that is such a unique event.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do people get to pull an airplane?
Yeah.
So being around the airplanes and in that environment is really exciting. And it's also such a huge moneymaker and fundraiser for Special Olympics, which is such an amazing organization.
Awesome. So, and I want to touch on, is there anything else in your non-work life that has helped to motivate you when you because you said that when Oscar brought the partnership together in 2017 2018 that kind of was a big factor to motivate you to start hiring the four of us. But is there anything else in your non-work life that has helped to kind of motivate you? Or
I really believe that all of us should be working together with kindness and giving back to the community and inclusiveness. And so, I look at all organizations and ways that we can impact each other with kindness. And that's, in Chicago, our mantra, our catchphrase the last couple of years is achieving greatness through kindness. And I think that's, in my personal life, I try to enact that type of belief in all that I do also. And so I think just being able to be inclusive and work with Special Olympics has helped me achieve that more significantly and quicker. So I think that just all drives and leads to the same outcome.
Awesome. Well, now moving on, you briefly, just a few minutes ago, exclusively told us about some exciting news with expanding the Special Olympic Service Ambassador program coming to Denver and Houston. We won't give any timeline because we don't know if it's publicly ready yet to be released. But how, in your opinion, how can we expand? And then I've got a follow-up question, but that you also briefly touched on, but I'll conclude your segment with that. But first, how can we expand the Special Olympic Service Ambassador program in talking with any of our United family in Denver and Houston and in other hubs like LAX and other hubs across the whole system? But how can we expand, and also what can you say and encourage and empower and motivate them about the benefits that you have learned for the past 2 years? Well, yeah, we get to 2 years. For the past 2 years, working with the four of us.
Yeah. So, we have created a playbook. So as we expand and go into stations, they know what worked for us in Chicago as we worked our way through the program. And then we're really, utilizing those job shadow events, those work experience events, to find folks that really fit into the category of wanting to be in aviation and have that customer-centric approach, and identify those folks to bring them on as for future coworkers. And then, Daniel, you and I have talked, we're going to use you guys to help us train them and help them understand the benefits and how great it is working for United, because this definitely goes both ways. You bring so much to United, but I think, United has really enhanced your guys' life also.
Yeah.
So many great people. So. Yeah,
amazing. It's amazing that I know we didn't have that going into this since we were the first, but it's amazing to kind of, from 2 years of experience. And Z works in the morning, so and now Kyle does, so we don't really see each other, but a lot of times if I get there early, we kind of pass each other. And so we will kind of briefly chat in that when they do expand, that they have to, just like they pick the four of us, they pick the white athletes that could succeed with United. I think, and maybe you can comment on this. We were talking about how among 3 out of the 4 of us, that they should pick the right athletes for the future jobs at the other hubs. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I think it's like any job, right? You're looking for specific skill sets and attributes. You don't want somebody who doesn't like being around people to be a service ambassador in the lobby. So we really have learned, working with all of you, and all of you have different skill sets, but you all have the same base. You enjoy working for people. You're looking at bettering yourself every day, right? You're just amazing employees and coworkers. So we'll continue looking for those types of attributes as we move forward.
So one final question before we for your segment, before we bring on Angela, then we'll hear from Monica, and then at the end of the episode we got one final question for all the guests, and that is, what are your dreams now that you're at LAX, now that you're on the West Coast? What are your dreams for the West Coast in this program? Because I'm sure, as we know, LAX is not the only hub, and it's not the only airport on the West Coast. So
You're right.
What are your dreams for this Special Olympic Service Ambassador program?
Right. Yeah, definitely. After we get off the ground in Houston and Denver, we really want to make it to all of our hubs. And once we get all our hubs with coworkers in the Service Ambassador program, we're looking at some of our large line stations so we can have impacts in multiple communities throughout the United States and keep growing the jobs and finding opportunities for all of you.
What about as you know, we have Special Olympics programs in, I think, over 190 countries. So what about in like places like London and Paris and I'm trying to think of some of the other big cities, but like, what about globally in some other countries?
Well, we haven't talked about it yet, but I absolutely think that, our dream would be, wherever we can go in the world to grow the program, make it better, and keep and being inclusive and joining the two organizations together would definitely be a positive for us.
Awesome. So as we continue this conversation of taking inclusion to new heights, that was good timing, Jonna, with going off camera, being audio only. Good timing.
I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm back.
There you go.
I thought you were making coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would share the coffee with you that I've got in the studio here. But so let's now transition and to you, Angela, and Jonna, we'll come back to you for that final question at the end that I always end the guests with. But Angela, for you, and I feel like both times when you've been on the show in the past, you have taken over as host, and so now I actually get to go back to what I'm used to doing with hosting, and so but I have a feeling it's you can't get away from taking over. So how did you first get introduced to a Special Olympics movement and to a Special Olympics Service Ambassador program here at United?
Well, you know what? They sent out an email saying we're going to try something new with Special Olympics Athletes Illinois. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of step out of my comfort zone. Never having worked with special needs or special needs adults, I thought it would be a chance and an opportunity to learn and grow and make me a better agent while teaching and guiding and mentoring all you athletes.
Awesome. And now, how you've now, as we're coming up on, by the time this releases, 2 years. So how have you as a mentor experienced the Special Olympic Service Ambassador program?
Well, I think I've learned a lot. All 4 of you have taught me a lot about life and just as far as patience, understanding, working together. I don't feel as if I'm your mentor anymore. I feel as we're just coworkers and we work side by side. And that's what's so amazing. And I want to see you all grow, develop, and I want you to take it to the next level. And you'll be training kids and you'll be bringing in new people and you're our OG force. So I want to see you guys go really far. I want to see you do great things because you're such an asset, truly, truly an asset. And I love working with each and every one of you.
Awesome. And what made you raise your hand to get involved in this? I mean, I'm sure with email, it was a virtual hand. Maybe it was a emoji hand ways. I don't know. So what made you emoji raise your hand for this?
I wanted to get involved, like I said, to do something a little bit different. Volunteering is free. It doesn't cost you anything. And to pull my walls down and step outside of my comfort zone and do something completely different while being productive and giving you the opportunity to learn the airline industry and work side by side. And now look at where we are now. You're part of my United family. You're my coworker, and you're also my friend outside of work.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to give you a brief moment if you wanted to comment on anything that Jonna talked about in the first segment. If you wanted to comment on anything that Jonna had talked about.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to hear that we're expanding this program to other hubs. I think it's just going to become bigger and better. And I'm just looking forward to see how this unfolds and how we grow our United family.
All right, awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead in just a few more moments, bring Monica on. And at the end, I know I said I have one final question, but I actually have two final questions. And then maybe Angela might have a surprise for us at the end of the episode. So you're listening to the Special Chronicles show. This is our Unified at Work sorry, this is our Unified at Work. Welcome back to the Special Chronicles. And so we'll go ahead and bring Angela on right now. Welcome back to the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel, and I'm the founder of Special Chronicles and a service ambassador at United Airlines. Join us on this segment of episode 450 and season 2, part 3 of our Unified at Work series, as we welcome one of our mentors, United Customer Service Representative based in Chicago, Monica Lightfoot, to the Special Chronicles show. Welcome, Monica.
Hi, Daniel. How are you, Daniel?
And just imagine we're sitting in this Polaris club, and we've got a live audience in front of us. So let's begin and have you tell us how you first got introduced to our Special Olympics movement, and how you got introduced to a Special Olympics Service Ambassador program here at United Airlines.
I responded to an email when they were asking for mentors. And because I had a child with special abilities, I thought that this would be a great opportunity for me to interact with the Special Olympians at work, and then to you guys what you guys needed me to be. Awesome.
Well, we're glad to. I think I first met you when we came for the orientation or interview or something 2 years ago.
Orientation.
Yeah. So just 2 years ago, because this is being released the middle of October 2021. So 2 years ago was 2019. So pre-COVID, we didn't have to wear masks, and it was back in the good old days, right? So let's move on and have you share with us, how has you as a mentor experienced the Special Olympics Service Ambassador program?
As a mentor, I'm simply just whatever you guys need. If you have a question and I'm able to answer it, I will do just that. If I can't answer it, I am going to find the answer for you. As far as showing you around, that was easy. I was able to give you guys a tour, let you guys know where everything was. You guys had access to me 24 hours if you need it. You all have my telephone number and my email address. So this has really been a great experience for me working with you guys.
Awesome. And as I don't know if you've heard, but it's slowly kind of, the news is slowly starting to kind of open up about how United is growing this to other hubs. And I don't know if we can officially say, so I'm not going to say a timeline, even though we kind of internally know, but I'm not going to officially say. So I'll say sometime in the future, hopefully sooner than later, but it's hard not to publicly share it. But so sometime in the future, probably Houston, Denver, and other hubs, sometime in the future, right? No timeline here. Sometime in the future, United will be hiring new Special Olympics athletes. So 8 new athletes to begin with, and then going forward sometime in the future, hopefully soon. But for any other customer service representatives at other stations, at other hubs, what advice do you have for them to motivate and empower and encourage them to get involved in, just like how you have got involved with mentoring and interacting with us?
I think the best way to do it is find out what your need is and help with that need. If it's someone showing you how to fill out your flying together information, if it's setting up your email, it's just whatever you guys need. And I think that if people allow inclusion to be just that, it'll be a better place to work. Just allow people to be who they are and go from there.
So would you say to kind of just let inclusion be a way of life?
Yes, because everyone's different. Some people have special needs. Some people, special needs are visible. Some are not.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be very careful how we approach people with different abilities.
Awesome. Well, and you sort of answered, but what made you when you think back to that email that you probably got, I don't know, from Steve, or maybe it was from Jonna, I don't know exactly who, but what made you, when you got that email to asking for mentors for us, what made you raise your hand? It might have not have been a physical hand, but like, because it's probably through email, but what made you raise your hand? Yeah, I can kind of do jokes. What made you raise your hand to get involved in this Special Olympic Service Ambassador program?
Because I had a child with special needs, I felt like it was important for me to be one of the mentors, because not only had I experienced it firsthand, but I just think that people treat people with special needs different because of how they look, or because of what they can't do, or because of how they talk. And I think that I was able to be a good spokesperson for the mentees.
Awesome. Well, we could have you on for much longer, and maybe we'll have to have you on again, or maybe we'll have to have you as a guest on the George and Daniel show, or we'll have to have you back on this series. But for a longer conversation, because I'm sure there's other topics that we could talk about, but we're trying to keep these episodes nice and short. So a final question that I conclude with all the guests on this podcast, so I'll do the same with you, is...
Can't hear you, Daniel.
Whoops. The audio podcast people can hear me, but the video people can't. Sorry about that. I have too many mute buttons here. So what I was trying to say was, I don't want to spoil the final question before I ask you guys for that. So we'll do that in just a moment. So I pause Monica for a quick second, and we'll bring her on for that final question along with you guys. But first, before we get to that final question, I wanted to kind of give both of you a brief moment and to comment on anything that Monica had said.
Oh.
Well, if Angela or Jonna, if you guys wanted to comment on anything that Monica had said in the whole segment.
I agree with a lot of the things. I mean, she hit a lot of it, right on the head. I think most importantly, anybody with any disabilities or abilities that are different, not everything is visual. You cannot see everything. And this is something we are growing and learning with the new Special Olympic athletes of Illinois being a part of United now. We are all learning together. And that's what's really special about this, because that's what's going to grow and make this it's going to make United a better airline, and a stronger airline, and a more unified airline.
Unified airline. Awesome. And Jonna?
Yeah, I would just add that, when this comes to the station near you, that you become involved, because it is really a fulfilling, wonderful program where you meet exceptional people and get to work in, both Angela and Monica had said, you get to work with people that's maybe a little bit different than what we've done in the past, but it's such a fulfilling experience. And I encourage everyone to get involved, because the more unified we are, the better.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into two final questions. One I'll end with you guys, and Angela might have a surprise, and we'll get to that final question after the break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. And hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to hear a message from our partner. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives, and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And now we return to our conversation. This episode continues right now. And we're back. This is Daniel, founder of Special Chronicles and a service ambassador at United Airlines. This is season 2, Part 3, episode 450 of the Special Chronicles show and our Unified Work series. So, to kind of wrap up here, I wanted to ask both of you, how can we grow? How can the four of us grow beyond our current job responsibilities? I don't want to speak over anybody, but kind of wanted to hear your thoughts, and who knows, maybe other of our United co-workers could hear this conversation. But how can we develop and kind of grow beyond what we're currently doing in the lobby here in Chicago? And so how can we grow beyond our job responsibilities? Let's go from right to left first, just to kind of switch it up a little bit. So Angela, and then I'll go to you, Jonna. So Angela?
I think the way that is just kind of learn to grow together, and every day you're going to find something new, develop something new. Just being open and receptive on both ends is just going to help this grow. And I think that's pretty much how I feel about that.
Awesome. And Jonna?
I think Angela's spot on when she talks about learning something new every day, but I think also you're continuing to grow in other ways. So Kyle, getting involved in some of the emergency response stuff, and Daniel, you're doing the Unified podcast series. There's different things for different athletes, and based on their interests, on where we can keep expanding the job scope and learning as we move forward. And then I think, as our industry changes, and all industries change, we'll find different places where you guys bring lots of added value to the airline. So we'll continue to look for those opportunities that you can maybe do something a little bit different than you're currently doing, but bring that added value to both United and our customers.
Awesome. Well, now we're going to get to that final question. We'll first go to, we've got a bumper here, but we'll first go to Monica, and then as soon as Monica answers the final question, we'll go to both of you, and we'll wrap up. I mean, at the end, Angela might have a surprise for us. So we'll go to that final question right now. A longer conversation, because I'm sure there's other topics that we could talk about, but we're trying to keep these episodes nice and short. So a final question that I conclude with all the guests on this podcast, so I'll do the same with you, is...
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising. Peaceful protesters.
Oh, well, let's try again. Cue the bump.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising. Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference. Difference.
Our demands are
equality,
dignity,
and the recognition of our
shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution is inclusion. Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
So with that, you probably could guess from that little bumble that we had, but I always include, at least for the past couple of years, with all the guests, with one final question, and that is talking about, as you know, inclusion is a big part of our Special Olympics movement, big part of our work culture at United Airlines, and so I'll conclude with you as well, and that is, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion to me is accepting people for who they are and allowing them to be themselves.
Perfect. We always have a lot of good answers to that, and so perfect way. That's a wrap on this segment. Great way to wrap up this segment. That's a wrap. We'll be right back after a brief break to continue our conversation with Jonna and Angela. Our conversation continues after the break on SpecialChronicles.com. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to learn how you can become a Special Chronicles supporter so we can continue to produce this podcast. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. And we're back. So I'll conclude with also both of you, as I do with all the guests, as you just heard with Monica, but a final question. But first, before we get to that, I wanted to give Angela a chance to have that surprise at the end of the episode. Maybe tone in the microphone on.
Oh, is it on?
It's on. One.
I just wanted to ask you a question about how has working for United changed your life?
So it's a tough question. It's changed my, like in, I've had an opportunity to like meet people from different cultures. Like I took a class in college with cross-cultural communication, so it's given me a chance to kind of expand beyond what I have been doing. And for the first time, besides my obviously fun work at Special Chronicles with podcasting, for the first time in, other than for myself here, it's changed me because I've been able to go to a job that I love just as much as what I'm doing now. And to have that amount of love is to have that amount of same mutual love for a job is and makes me excited to wake up and go to work at United.
Great.
So with that, so maybe I'll turn the microphone on before we get to that final question. I'll turn the microphone on briefly to both of you and ask both of you what has our Special Olympics Service Ambassador program changed for both of you for working at United? I was trying to ask the same question, if that makes sense. So, Angela and Jonna, what has being part of our Special Olympics Ambassador program changed for both of you with both of you working at United?
I can go first. It really made me more aware of how we react and how we deal with situations can really affect others. So we did some training going into the partnership with, I can't remember the company that we worked with, but they, it was
JJ's List.
JJ's List. Yeah, exactly. And it really gave you insight on how words matter and how sometimes even when you don't mean something in a negative way, that it can come across to others that way. So it's really important that we do everything with kindness and we create an inclusive environment where we see everybody's unique special abilities and we find ways that we can all work together.
That's great. I agree with a lot of that. Also, for me, at the beginning, you asked why I got involved, and I said I stepped out of my comfort zone and I, stepped outside of my box. Well, that doesn't exist anymore because I've learned so much from you now with all this information and knowledge with working with special athletes, Special Olympic athletes. That no longer exists. So now it's just sky's the limit, no pun intended, but we're going to expand and grow with confidence and the ability and the education that we've had in the last 2 years. So that's what I really am happy about.
Yeah, awesome. And speaking of confidence, that self-confidence, I think, is a big. I know when Karen Milligan and when other people ask me what's a skill that I've learned from working at United, and I think I even shared it in that video that the media team did. Self-confidence is a skill that I've learned, so I'm sure we're learning a lot of these mutual skills. So hopefully that's what the other hubs can learn. And now for that final question, I conclude with all the guests. So I'll do the same with you. I'm not going to play the bumper because you already heard it before Monica gave her answer. But what does inclusion is a big part of Special Olympics, and with United with taking inclusion to new heights. I'm kind of using that tagline for this series, but with taking inclusion to new heights, what does inclusion mean to both of you? Who wants to go first? But
I'll go. You know what? Inclusion. We're in this life together. We all start at the starting line and we are at the finish line. And it doesn't matter how we get from start to finish. We are all equal when we are at that starting line, when we start. And that's what equality is it's just we're all equal.
Awesome. And Jonna, to wrap it up?
For me, inclusion really means that whatever we do in life, whether it's work or personal, that we should find ways that all different types of people can be included and achieve whatever our goals or dreams may be together. And there's times where we'll help others, and there's times where others will help us get to that finish line that Angela talked about. So really making sure we find opportunities and ways to include others that are outside our comfort zone or outside our circle, possibly that we may be in at the time.
Awesome. And that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. That's a wrap on this Unified at Work series, Season 2, Part 3. This is episode 450 of the Special Chronicles show. As I lose my notes here. And stay tuned for next week's episode as we conclude Season 2 with our season finale. We'll be on the job with Jessica Long, Paralympic swimmer that United has sponsored. Subscribe to this podcast to be notified of my conversation with Jessica Long when our season 2 finale premieres next Monday at 6 Central on SpecialChronicles.com. As a reminder, Unified at Work series is produced in collaboration with United Airlines and is delivered to podcast apps everywhere by Special Chronicles. SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe and listen. And until next week, stay subscribed to this podcast because we got much more content in the coming months. And we'll talk to you both. Jonna, I'll hopefully see you sometime soon. And Angela, I'll see you at work as well.
Okay, thank you.
Daniel, great job.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Shows podcast. Visit SpecialChronicles.com to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. Also, subscribe to our newsletter mailing list to sign up for our updates and get exclusive content delivered to your inbox. Remember to do what you do with these podcasts. Subscribe or follow and rate and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, please share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family. Help us grow our audience and reach 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 14,000 average monthly listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week with exciting new guests. See you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.